Welcome back to Pack Mentality, and today Caitlin is on the podcast, and we're going to be talking about the hidden time killer in your training. So we're specifically be diving into transition time, why it matters more than you think, and how you're probably sabotaging your training without even realizing it. Caitlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm personally guilty of finding refuge at the chalk bucket, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. Can you tell us ever maybe a story or an example of you ever seen someone or yourself stand over the barbell for like 20 seconds like it's going to bite them?
Oh, for sure. It happens all the time, at least weekly, especially with a lot of my personal training clients. Just recently, we're working on skills with Isabel and in her set, I was just kind of counting down the time that she had left, and 10 seconds went by, 20 seconds went by, and I was like, hey, it's been 30 seconds. Like we need to get up there. And a lot of times people rest because they want to do a certain amount of reps unbroken, but your training actually could get a lot better if you just kind of committed to moving every 10 seconds versus trying to get 5 unbroken reps.
No, I agree. And today, let's just kind of briefly go over a summary of what we're chatting about today. So first off, we're gonna go over exactly what transition time is, why most people suck at it, why this kills progress, real effort versus fake pacing. I'm excited for that one. And then exactly how to fix it. And we're specifically going to be talking about how we design our training programs to where you can actually work on the transition. If you've been coming to our gym, you've probably noticed that when we kind of do 2 exercises on the minute for like 10 or 12 minutes, because it forces you to go out hot and then get to either the pull-up bar or do your burpees as fast as possible. But let's go and start from the beginning. So let's go over what transition time actually is.
Yeah, transition time can refer to obviously the time between movements, but it also can refer to time between sets, time between, part A versus part B. And, we utilize the entire class period to fit in a warm up and then the transition time, to the strength portion into the Metcon, and all of that kind of stuff matters, especially warm up, I think, and getting all the skills dialed in.
Yeah, exactly. It's, just like the space in between your reps, movements, and stations, sets. And then it's also where urgency meets effort.
Yeah. And then, there's a lot of training programs where we definitely think about the amount of rest time needed or that we want, the type of stimulus that we want out of that workout. And so a lot of, planning goes into designing a workout in general.
Yeah, exactly. And something like CrossFit where you are, it's one of those things where you're constantly operating on some sort of a time constraint. And so it's not just about the reps, it's about the seconds that you accumulate between them as well. It's going to dictate the outcome.
Yeah, and intensity is definitely something that we consider. And having the right amount of reps and the right amount of rest time is going to dictate if we're doing like a strength piece or if we're trying to get more aerobic base out of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go into why most people suck at it. So let's go. We have 3 common mistakes that Caitlin and I are going to address. So first off, we're going to talk about overpacing. Then we're going to talk about wandering transitions. This is what I think most people are guilty of. And then we're going to go over decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Which is funny. So let's start with overpacing. Let's start with that one.
Overpacing is definitely a beginner to just fitness in general kind of does. And it's because they really don't know what they're capable of, and they're just kind of afraid of getting into that uncomfortable feeling, where you feel like throwing up or you've pushed yourself too far. I mean, a lot of people are guilty of that and have felt that before. And so in order to compensate for that, you overpace, and to where the point you really don't need to rest because you didn't try that hard and you're not that tired, and you can hold a full-on conversation during your rest period. Like if you've done it right, you should really have to rest your body so that you can go hard on the next set.
Yeah, I think it's a beginner mistake, which is typically either one of 2 extremes, right? It's either overpacing or going out super hot to the point where they're done in the first like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's usually one or the other. And usually we do see overpacing as more like the main problem when people are beginning. And then the only problem is with that is like I kind of like what you said, which is they're not they don't know what they're capable of quite yet. And so really the only way to find out what you are capable of is to actually push be very uncomfortable with your pacing.
Yeah, it's almost like you should go out hot a couple times to be like, oh, I should definitely not do that. And instead work a little bit backwards and go back up again.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not in a pacing podcast theme though, but there are different gears on the car. and your car being your engine itself when you're doing these types of workouts. And the transition times really kind of let you know of where you're at in terms of your pacing.
Yeah, I think if you are ever feeling like you don't need rest or you can hold a full-on conversation, these are signs that you're overpacing and you should try a little bit harder on the next round.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's go into wandering transitions. So walking to the next station, kind of like you're taking a coffee break.
Yeah, or just walking around in general between your reps. Like you're just wasting energy and time. I mean, a lot of times we tell our clients like, hey, just stand in one place, take a couple breaths, and then get back into it. Because you just kind of walking around, and you see this happen a lot with burpees. People do like a set of burpees and then they take a couple steps around, they go get water, they go to the chalk bucket and and then they go back to burpees again. So it's that wandering, just kind of like stalling. You're just stalling.
Yeah, instead of wandering, just stay right where right where you're at, and rest as long as you want, but just stay there.
Yeah.
Or find a place to rest during the rep itself.
Yes, exactly. Like break early, before you get to that, failure point. That way you don't have to rest as long between your transitions. And yeah, just stop moving. I mean, a lot of times you're just kind of wasting energy at that point. You should focus really on breathing, standing up tall, trying to take deep breaths, relax your body. That way you can get, intense and back into the set.
Yeah, right. Okay. And let's go into decision fatigue, right? So not having a clear plan leads to hesitation between movements.
Yeah, I think this happens a lot maybe with strength portions. When we put percentages out and you don't take the time to kind of go over them in the beginning, then your transition time between your sets might be a little bit off because you don't know what weight you're going to put on the bar next. And so this just comes from preparation and then having quick transitions and knowing, what exact weight you need on the bar quickly. We just did this with back squats the other day, and we had, distinct time of 45-second rest, 30-second rest between sets. And if you don't know what you're going to be doing next, you're going to rest longer and you get the wrong stimulus.
Exactly. Yeah. This really comes down more towards, and I mean, in terms of specifically, we're talking about decision fatigue, more towards strength pieces themselves.
I mean, this also happens obviously in Metcons as well, where maybe you make the wrong decision to get up on the pull-up bar too early just because you're so tired. You came in off of a run and you just kind of jump up without thinking, and then you can only do two, right? But that happens a lot of times to me as well. And then I just tell myself, woo, okay, I need to take a break.
Yeah.
And then I get back on it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Let's move on to why this kills progress. So there's time under tension versus time under tension plus intensity. So those are two separate things. So let's kind of chat about that. So when you're in a time under tension state versus a time under tension versus intensity state, the pacing has to be different on each.
Yeah, and the rest ratio probably has to be a little bit different as well for each one. If you have more time under tension, you're talking about like tempo, right? And
or like a very heavy fatigue. Yeah, I should probably provide more context. I'm talking about like even in a conditioning piece, but where muscle fatigue will set in first. So like example, strict handstand push-ups or push-ups in general. Any kind of pressing movement, you can't really will yourself up once you lose it. Like a deadlift. If it's like a 225 deadlift, when you're tired, you can kind of will up a few extra reps to kind of get through it. Whereas a pressing movement, not so much.
Yeah, you're kind of like maxing out at failure. So I guess maximizing your transition time would then be, like we said, breaking early on the set to where you're not going to failure. And then that way you can, move quickly between movements.
Exactly. And then once you add in elevated heart rate, aka the intensity to the time under tension, that's where things start getting even more complicated.
Yeah, or worse.
Yeah, like for a good example of this that I would love to chat with you about is that when we did that EMOM with the handstand walks and bar muscle ups.
Yes.
So the first 30 feet were pretty easy for me to get unbroken. And then I went on my second minute to do my 6-bar muscle ups. But then I came back for the second handstand walk, and suddenly it was a lot harder because the intensity was higher.
Yeah.
And I was doing a high skill movement with a lot of shoulder fatigue. So now we're adding in time under tension because a handstand walk is a lot of time under tension and very taxing on the midline, the lungs, the shoulders. And then you add intensity to that, it really complicates something that, doing fresh isn't as bad.
Yeah, I think that's why I love EMOMs, is that because it always kind of starts off a little bit easy at first, and then boom, all of a sudden at the end, you're barely making the minutes. But that's what makes training, and especially training skills in that sense, is really fun.
Yeah, that's why I like EMOMs as well, because it gives me feedback on where I start to fatigue. Because if I, like I know, right there, I just got burned out. after the first round of a 10-minute EMOM. I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. Next time I just shorten the distance or I lower the reps on the bar muscle ups until I can successfully complete the entire 10 minutes. And then I can add 1 bar muscle up or add 5 feet to the handstand walk, complete that. So now I kind of have like a system to improve both of those things.
And that's exactly what I do when I try to design like the next week of programming. I go back to the previous one before and think about how many people were successful doing these reps or for this distance, for example, with that workout. And if they were successful, then the next week I could increase it or make it a little bit harder. But if not a lot of people were successful, I'll write a different workout where they could be more successful, right? Exactly. And that's the exact same thing that you said.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why gathering data and looking at feedback and evidence is so important when it comes to program design, because there's a lot of times where we will try and push the limits on people and they'll surprise us.
Yeah. I mean, that one workout where we had to do the echo bike and the chest to bar pull up in the same minute.
Oh, I did not think I could finish that. And I did.
Yeah. I mean, and it was really pushing it to almost not finishing on the minute.
Just so people know we're talking about, what workout was that again? Or was
it was a 10-minute EMOM.
I think it was 12.
Okay. Oh yeah, maybe 12-minute EMOM. And on minute 1, then this was for RX Plus. Minute 1, it was 8-6 cal echo bike plus 5 to 8 chest to bar pull-ups, and just trying to maintain that for that duration of time. I mean, we're talking right over 100 calories if you were doing 8s, and then over 100 chest to bar pull-ups if you're doing 8 times 12. Well, just about 96.
That is 5.
Oh yeah, if you were doing 5 and you accumulated 60. Exactly. So we're talking about quite a bit of accumulation in a very short amount of time. The intensity is extremely high, but the time under tension is also high because my rounds were getting to like finishing 45 seconds. So I only had 15 seconds of rest, 10 seconds of rest. So my transition time was very short. And so I had to utilize the rest between the echo bike and the chest to bar. I rested there. You didn't. You went straight from the echo bike to the chest to bar and then rested more at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the stimulus of the workout.
Right.
You strategized.
I did, but I did 8s. So I did all the reps.
Are you flirting with me?
It was a tough workout though. And a lot of times when there's that of 5 to 8, mark, or just there's like a window that you could be in, I do try to push my limit and always try to get the higher end of the rep range. Even if I go to failure, even if I maxed out the time frame, I still try my best to get 8 as much as possible versus cutting myself short. Like I don't purposely try to stop on the lower end. I'm going to go all the way to failure if I have to.
Wow, I was not expecting a direct attack today, but here we are. No, I agree. And this kind of leads in perfectly to one of how we're going to wrap things up for the entire podcast, which is how to train the transitions. So we're kind of giving you like a little preview now. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but whatever. But the whole point is on that workout is to do the 8/6 cals as fast as possible within reason, and then immediately get on the pull-up bar. So that way, because I mean, I'm not used to transitioning that fast, and because it was an EMOM, it forced me to get on the pull-up bar way before I was comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm just gonna, it's only 5. That's why I chose 5 too, is mentally, because I know I can always do 5. So I just went over there. I'm like, if I can't do 5, then I'm just a little bitch.
Yeah, but if you gamed it, I think you could have done 8.
Yeah, had I gamed it, I could have done 8. I think I could have done 8 regardless, but I haven't operated that level of intensity in quite a while. And so
you wanted the win.
And so, yeah, well, I mean, it was one of those things where I'd rather be a little conservative and then get the win, like you said, and then that way I can build off the next one. Because now I'm not capable of that. Now I know that I never have to do that again. I need to push myself more.
Yeah, and you overpace it, obviously, because you were dying still.
Oh, I died. I went out way too hot in like the first probably 4 minutes of the echo bike. And I realized I realized I actually had more time to do the chest to bar because I would finish in like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
The entire thing. And I would have 30 seconds to rest. I'm like, okay, I could probably back off on the echo bike, but I didn't figure that out until like round 8 when I was forced to.
Yeah. So you were over halfway.
Until my body was like, you will slow down. You don't have a choice. So now we're going to talk about, losing training density when you do fewer reps, less conditioning, and less adaptation. So that this is what's killing your progress.
Sorry, say it again. Density, you said, or intensity?
Training density.
Training density.
So it's getting enough reps in.
Oh,
because you're resting too much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we see this a lot. A lot of people don't finish all the reps because they're just standing around. And so honestly, in my opinion, if that's the case, then the movement or the weight or whatever you're doing is too hard. Because if you feel the need to rest that much and you really do feel the need to, then yeah, it's too challenging. You need to back off so that you can accumulate the volume needed or the stimulus needed for that workout.
Yeah, and you're probably lacking an aerobic base too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. I think cardio is your foundation, your baseline. If you can't sustain a high heart rate and you're trying to do a skill or lift a weight, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I will say it, like, I mean, completely off the subject, but if I could go back in time and tell myself when I first started CrossFit, what you need to work on the most isn't what you think.
Yeah.
It is build an aerobic base. And I would have been so much better off if I would have done that.
For sure. Me too. I say aerobic base, more just like raw strength, like especially with just like strict pull-ups, strict handstand push-ups instead of doing kipping first. So many things that would change for the past.
So many things. But, we learn and now we're sharing the knowledge. So that's all that matters.
I just hope it doesn't take people as long as it took us.
No, it took me way too long. It's embarrassing, which I will not even talk about. I don't want to open up that wound. Let's go into, so we talked about how fewer reps, less conditioning, less adaptation when you don't get enough volume or training density in those whatever workout you're doing. So pretty self-explanatory there. We don't need to go into more details.
Yep.
Let's talk about specifically how people are killing their progress when they're utilizing different training styles. So AMRAPs, EMOMs, OPA style workouts, where seconds really add up to missed opportunities.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially in AMRAPs or just, what's a good one to talk about too is when people are working on like max reps and stuff and like always cutting their time short or transitioning too early to the next one. That just all comes down to gaming things. And honestly, if you're not competing in CrossFit or competing in fitness or anything, you don't need to game anything. Your training is just simply for you, yourself, and you should just try to stick to what is needed for that workout and not try to, overpace it or underpace it or anything like that.
Yeah, I would even argue that in an hour class, including warm up and cool down and transitions between either getting set up, tearing down the equipment, is that it's really hard to get enough volume in.
Yes.
In the hour when you actually really factor in how much time you're actually working out. So you really need to maximize that and not game it and then just accept the fact that I'm going to get a lot of reps in. Maybe my score won't be super cool.
Yeah.
But I will get better, which is the point.
I like that you brought up the whole class scenario thing because, for me, a perfect class is run from start to finish, and it includes warm up. And I really think about our warm ups at Red Wolf. I write them out daily, and I have everyone follow it in a certain way. And it's down to the minutes, and the coaches know this and can probably validate what I'm saying, but in the warm-up, even the amount of reps that I want people to do in the warm-up, I think about the accumulation of that on top of the workout, and it's exactly what I want, right? And so when people honestly cut my reps short, I just think to myself, that's just missed opportunities, for yourself and for your entire hour of fitness. And so you're only getting maybe 80% of your fitness done if you're starting to cut reps right from the very beginning. And then the transition time between workouts is also really dialed in and thought about because I think about the people who need to warm up for very high skills, what type of class is going to need X amount of time, and all of that matters, especially when we're talking about just gains in strength and then conditioning, especially when we're trying to pair the two together.
No, 100%. And right now, if you made it this far into the podcast, do me a favor and please leave us a review, share it with a friend. We do this completely for free because we really do care about people. We really want to make fitness accessible, engaging, and effective for everyone. So help us out and share this with a friend who might change their lives or get some value out of this. Let's go and move on to real effort versus fake pacing. So there's a difference between being smart in a workout, like being, doing intelligent things to get the work done versus just being lazy, I guess, in disguise. Let's go and chat about that.
Sorry, everyone. I just had to fix the camera really quick.
I'll have to edit this up part out, actually. Is it working?
Yeah, but it's just angled up. Is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay. Sorry, start again.
So we're talking about real effort versus fake pacing. So there's a difference between being smart in a workout and then just being lazy in disguise. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I see this all the time. And, it just kind of depends on, I think, the mentality coming into the workout. Sometimes some people come in just to move, and I can really tell. And that is fine, especially on harder days. But if you're just consistently kind of like moving lazily, I feel so sorry sometimes because I'm like, you could get so much more out of this workout. And again, we really pride ourselves at Red Bull for having really good training, and results come as long as you give in that effort and you're really trying to do exactly what the coaches say to do, and you're dialed in on time and efficiency. And when you have all of that, it's magic. And when you come daily, it's magic. And you're just going to have such great progress.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why several people who just wrapped up our ramp up program have lost over 20 pounds in 6 weeks, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that.
Oh my gosh. Yes, totally. And
It's starting to happen more frequently, which is even crazier.
yeah, and it comes from just coming into the gym, trusting the program, trying to just clean up your diet just a little bit, move more, and then bam, like things can really happen when you give 100% effort. And so when you come into the gym, just know like fitness is turned on for just 1 hour. And I just want people to commit for 1 hour and trust us, and just really take in exactly what the coaches are trying to say and convey. And the workout itself is just going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you're already there. You might as well give as much effort as possible.
Yep, exactly.
The work you put in it's obviously going to compound over time. Let's go and talk about if your transitions are too slow, then your effort likely isn't high enough to even need pacing.
Yeah. Again, effort is always kind of biased, and you'll do better when you have a coach right next to you. So I think personal training, definitely we maximize the hour a lot more. Transition time is going to be less when you have somebody right next to you counting down the minutes and time. Now in a group setting, it's a little bit different. You can kind of get away with kind of hiding in the back or chatting with a friend and taking your time here and there. But when you have, hopefully the coaches can, herd the cats in the class, in the group setting, and get everybody to move at the same speed and with the same intensity. And so when that happens, group class is great. But again, if you're struggling with intensity and time management, I would definitely want somebody to do some personal training sessions so that they can learn what their intensity is, how much rest time do they need. You can learn a lot in just a couple sessions, one-on-one with a coach, not only about fitness, but about yourself.
Yeah, 100%, because you save a ton of time because it's really hard to get in. I mean, we do our best, but when you have a group of 15 to 20 people in a class, you can only get so much real-time feedback so frequently. Whereas if you have the entire hour one-on-one, it's a lot easier to get a lot done. In simple terms.
Yeah, it's a time investment thing, right? And so just think if you kind of invested your time one-on-one, with a professional in whatever you're trying to do. And for here, we're talking about fitness. So you invest your time one-on-one and you learn exactly how you should be working out to maximize your time. The benefit for yourself is huge. And I think a lot of our personal training clients really know this, because when they go into group class, they're like, man, it is so slow. Like they always tell me that. And they're like, we can get so much more done in our hour. And I'm like, yeah, because it's just me and you. And I can push you and I can keep you on track and keep you accountable. But with that said, I also try to teach them how to mimic this in group setting. And I'm like, even though, you're working with a bunch of people, you can still get the same stimulus done if you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And to kind of add to that, not only that is that you can fit a lot more into 1 hour.
Yes.
And in terms of your training, like I know that's why a lot of my clients don't actually need me per se. They just like it because we get more done.
Yes.
They're fully capable of functioning, and a lot of them have done group classes before working with me. And then they come over, and then once they start training, they're like, oh, I don't have to train as frequently because we get so much done in 1 hour. So instead of coming 5 times a week, can come 3 and actually get more results faster.
Yeah. And I think even as a good example, it would be me, you, any of the coaches. When people ask us, how long do you train for? I'm very honest. It's usually 1 to 2 hours. And people think I'm in the gym, I feel like, for like 3 hours. Oh, you must work out all the time. And I say, no, I don't work out all the time. I break up my time as needed. And it really comes out to about an hour to an hour and a half. I'm just really efficient with my transition time, with how I warm up, with how I break down. And once you get into that flow of things, I mean, we as coaches aren't spending a lot of time in the gym because we're coaching a bunch of people in the gym instead.
Yeah.
So when you can get that dialed, your workout game is so much better.
And since we do coach it all the time, and that allows us to be more efficient with our time as well. And so we just transfer that over to our clients.
Yep.
Let's go and move on to, let's talk about 4 different things on how to actually fix transitions in workouts specifically. So we have awareness, intentionality, progression, and then like a coaching cue. So let's go into awareness first. So that's where, I like to actually time my transitions between movements. So I have what I call for myself the 5-second rule. So as soon as I'm done with one thing, I have 5 seconds to do the next thing. And I don't have any set reps, but if I'm really tired, I tell myself just do one. And if I do one, I'm too tired still, I can come off the bar. But every time I do it and I tell myself just one, and I either get on the bar or I start doing burpees or I go for the run, whatever, that I end up doing a lot more than I thought I was capable of because I'm pushing myself.
Yeah. I mean, I think just having awareness before the workout too of what you're going to hold yourself accountable kind of really helps. I do see you always timing yourself with your watch. And you do look at those times after the workout as well, like just to see if you held to it.
I track my splits.
Okay.
I like to track my splits, and I do look at my watch or the timer during the workout. And that's more to make sure that that I'm moving with intent.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of get caught up in the workout. I have a watch on as well, and always with a timer, but I get caught up into where I can't even like press the button because I'm just trying to move as quickly as possible. It kind of blanks in my mind. But as far as awareness, I just try to think about my breaks and have a plan going into a workout and try to stick to that plan as best as possible because I know time is the essence of a workout.
Yeah. 100%. And let's go into intentionality. So I like to design, we already kind of talked about this already, but I like to design very short, aggressive workouts where transitions are going to make or break you.
Yeah, I love those. I like when you program stuff like that because it makes me really uncomfortable. But when you finish it, you feel very accomplished, like you had a really good win. A couple times you'll get demolished, and that kind of sucks. But it at least gives you awareness of where you're at. And kind of, okay, how am I going to get better to get to that point where I can complete it?
Yeah, a good example of this is Puma Pounce.
Yes.
One of my favorites because it's not only a transition between the bike to the burpees, but it's also the transitions between each individual burpee because it's only 20. So if you don't know what the workout is, it's just one round for time. It's a 20 cal echo bike and then 20 bar facing burpees. And most people can do this under a minute or right around a minute.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 minutes if you're really slow. But it's one of those great workouts where it is a pure sprint to the point where every second matters. And like you go all out on the bike, you get to the burpees as fast as you can. Your transition between each individual repetition of the burpee is extremely fast.
Yeah, your legs feel like jello, but at some point you're going to have to like stay really tight in order to go really fast over the bar. That's the only way to do it because if you're moving like a worm, it's going to take forever. So that workout is really nasty. Yeah.
Another good one that I like to design, I don't do this very often, especially even in classes, just because more like logistics, but like a long chipper, but with very low reps. So like 10 power cleans, 10 box jump overs, 10 muscle ups, 10 whatever for like, either 5 to 10 exercise, something very low rep that is not going to come down to muscle fatigue. It's just going to come down to how fast can I get the work done and how fast can I get to the next exercise.
Yeah, something where it's going to push you to, go unbroken essentially. And how long can you sustain that intensity the entire time?
Awesome. Anything else you want to add to that one?
No.
Okay. Let's talk coaching cues. So what's your favorite coaching cue that you would give to someone who is struggling with transitions?
Other than just like counting down the time, like, okay, it's been 5 seconds. All right, try to get on the bar and do 3. And I try to be very aware of what they're going to be able to do in order to, I guess, bring awareness to their transition time. Or, those are kind of like my first go-to examples.
Yeah. What I like to do is I'll mess with people. I have to know you pretty well.
Yeah. How about a new person?
A new person, I wouldn't mess with them.
Yeah.
But can I Can I talk about it if I know them well, though?
Okay.
Okay, I'll do that one. So I like to do this one, especially if there's a barbell involved, and I see them, we've all been there with our hands on our knees, just bending over, looking at the bar, just, oh. And I go over and I just point at the bar. I go, it's not going to lift itself. That's my favorite. So it's funny. It works every time. Pick it up. People pick it up, and then or I just tell people like, get on it, get on the bar, get on, whatever. Start,
Yeah, two-hand grab.
Two-hand grab is a good one. Also, one of my favorite. A lot of people struggle with transitioning from any exercise to a run.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, instead of walking, just start with a light jog. Like you're not just get going, get some momentum going.
Same speed.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not like you're not going to catch your breath that much faster anyway. So you might as well get out the door in half the amount of time.
Yeah, or run all the way into your barbell and rest when you get there. Don't start. I mean, I know a lot of people like to walk and breathe at the same time, but I always feel like the transition time is 10 times slower when you start walking from a very far point away.
Oh yeah, walking in general is not that great.
Yeah.
Because I do find when I actually run to my next thing, I can rest there.
Yep.
But I'm more starting to get on there. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like I'm just standing here.
Yeah, exactly. My number one that I hate, and a lot of people do, but I'm just going to go and tell you guys that I really hate when people count down 3, 2, 1. And I don't know why that just really triggers me, but just tell me like you have 5 seconds. And like that's all I really need. I hate when people are counting down. You sometimes do that too. When you count down for people.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then,
I'll do it.
Like they're expected to pick it up and stuff. And it's just like, it's just kind of like a nag.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, again, if I know you really well too, I'll just stand there, I'll go pick it up, 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 pick it up until you pick it up.
Yeah, super annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying, but it works. Yeah, I'm annoying. But I get the job done.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Sess, are there any other coaching cues you want to go over?
No, we've covered many.
We covered many. That's enough. All right. So we are wrapped up. So is there anything else you want to say about transitions before we close things out?
No, I think just if you're taking away from this podcast, I mean, just try to think about how much more you can get done within your hour. Just know that everything is dialed in at Red Wolf as far as transition time between the workout and the warm up and everything like that. We take into consideration what's best for each member, and we really try to maximize the hour in that way. And if you do that, you're just going to have great results.
100%. And I encourage you to stop coasting through the gray zone and to remember that
limits.
Exactly, and that transitions are a choice, and to move with a purpose, and to stop wondering why your progress is stuck when you aren't moving with a purpose.
Yes, and if at any point you can hold a full-on conversation, you're not working hard enough.
Yes, exactly. So my challenge for you this week, if you do CrossFit or if you just go to the gym, that if there's a very short workout, or like let's say a 7-minute AMRAP, is so where every transition needs to be under 5 seconds.
Yes.
It needs to be fast, under 5 seconds, and then let us know how that goes.
You're going to do awesome.
Yeah, we believe in you. Well, thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, please leave us a 5-star review so we know to make more content just like this. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Red Wolf CrossFit and DM your content suggestions there. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, good luck, have fun.
Nailed it.